Well, welcome back as we continue coverage in the race for the White House. Just into our newsroom, Donald Trump has now been declared the winner of Michigan. He will be the 47th president of the United States. Again, just winning another swing state. Those results just getting finalized. And as you see here, those electoral votes now jumping to 292 for Donald Trump. You know, one of the unusual things that we really saw and we weren't necessarily expecting in this election was the margin in which he won in a lot of states. So joining us now, Brandon Davis with Tulane University, really looking into this election.
Yeah, first question. I mean, you see some of these key swing states. What did Donald Trump do, or what did Kamala Harris not do to win so many key battleground states? I mean, they were talking about just trying to pick some of these off. I mean, he won Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, now Michigan, and it looks like he's probably going to win Arizona and Nevada when the votes are counted.
Yes. Well, what Donald Trump did is increase his margins in, I think, 90 to maybe 100% of the counties he competed in. He increased his margins with almost every demographic, except for maybe two in the United States. And he was able to turn out rural voters and also recapture the suburbs. And so he really was able to outperform his last performance, and then Kamala Harris, unfortunately, or for her, she underperformed Biden. She underperformed Hillary Clinton, even with women. And so it was a very bad night for Democrats.
Now, when it comes to the House, I know we're still waiting to see who would gain control of that, which could be a GOP dream in a lot of ways, having red control across the board. Do we see the same kind of strategies with those who are running for Congress as we were seeing with the president? Was the economy still that big sticky point? Were they running off of his, coattails, so to speak? Or what do you think was the big contributing factor for the Senate flipping, and then also with the majority of the House? Well,
in statewide races like that, like senatorial races, the president has a lot of impact on voter turnout, and so it's easier for him to pull on people in the statewide races. You don't really see that so much in the congressional districts, the House districts, and that's why some of those are still kind of up for grabs. But as far as those senatorial seats, it was the immigration, it was an economy, and it was a very unpopular incumbent and a vice president attached to that unpopular administration.
What does it mean for a party, the Republican Party this time? It looks like, well, they've won the presidency, they've won the Senate. It looks like they're going to win the House. They're going to have control of the presidency in both chambers. What kind of power does that give the Republican Party? It just happened in 2016 during Trump's first time in office.
Well, it gives them a lot of power. The one thing is that to do anything in the Senate, you need 60 votes. And so the Senate is designed to make it such that one party can't just ram through everything they want to do. But it gives them a lot of power. They will have the ability to put bills on the table, get bills to the floor, get bills to the president's office in a lot smoother way or policy or position way than they would otherwise.
Now, I know we're talking about here in the U.S. It definitely impacts us all, but you're hearing a lot of world leaders reacting to this. The markets were soaring this morning. So what does this say to the globe, to our global leaders when it comes to this particular election?
Well, the markets are happy that it's over, right?
Yeah.
So they were maybe hedging their bets on it not being decided, there being maybe some civil unrest and things like that. And when that doesn't occur, that's good for markets. So that's good for business. In the world, the economic leaders in the world, also some of the more conflicts around the world, they're looking to see what is Trump's position going to be on these issues, and is he really going to follow through on some of the things he said as far as pulling out of NATO, or ending the war in Ukraine, allowing Israel to end the war in Palestine.
All right, Brandon Davis from Tulane University. We appreciate your time and your insight.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.